If you don't know who the Kardashians are, you must live on a boat in the middle of the ocean, chilling with the dolphins, hopefully wearing SPF, with no access to the internet. In which case I have no idea how you're watching this right now. The Kardashians are some of the most famous but also influential people on this entire planet. And even if you don't watch Keeping Up with our Kardashians, or even if you're not following or actively even engaged on Instagram, you know who they are or you recognize these faces. The question is, would you recognize these faces from 5 to 10 years ago? Plastic surgery and cosmetic augmentation have been becoming more and more popular, more and more prevalent in our everyday lives and world. However, the Kardashians have historically really refuted some of these claims. Kim Kardashian did an X-ray of her butt to prove that there were no implants. And before Kylie came out admitting she had lied about lip filler, she had been saying that it was just her lip kits or that she was just overlining her lips that got her that look. Even more recently, Khloe underwent some major surgeries to completely transform her body. And although she talked about it, she still tried to get photos of her bikini body, which looks amazing, erased off of the internet just because they weren't retouched and photoshopped. And while we have seen snippets of these cosmetic augmentations and these procedures happening, such as Kris Jenner actually going under the knife for a facelift in one of the episodes, most of the time the Kardashians are saying that their bodies aren't due to plastic surgery or to augmentation or to the thousands and if not hundreds of thousands of dollars that they have available to them, but to squats, as Kim Kardashian said. When you look at the Kardashian figure, it's not just a figure, it's more like a logo. It's literally a shape that is synonymous with the Kardashian brand. And if you've noticed from growing up, every single one of the Kardashian-Jenner family members has really gone through this same transformation, yet most of them have denied it. Now, I want to be clear, to my knowledge, the Kardashians still mainly deny a lot of this stuff. However, there are doctors, dermatologists, and plastic surgeons that I know, trust, respect, and have worked with who do think and speculate, and some who have claimed that they know the procedures and treatments that the Kardashians have undergone. And yes, that allegedly, for legal reasons, the Kardashians are still lying about. So why does this happen? And why are they allowed to get away with this? And I think it first comes down to this Kardashian brand that we mentioned. The Kardashians aren't just people. Kris Jenner isn't just a momager. She's a PR specialist, she's a mastermind. And she's even spoken about how she sees her daughters and her family as pawns in a game of chess that she likes to play and obviously win. One of the areas where this is most prevalent was when Forbes magazine admitted that they were wrong about listing Kylie Jenner as the world's youngest self-made billionaire. Apparently there were some tax records or some things that were a little bit fudged, and the financial and business worlds are very, very messy and very unclear. I am not an accountant, I am not a financial expert, nor a tax advisor, so I don't understand these things. But when you look at how Kylie Jenner was positioned as this self-made billionaire, even though she had all of these privileges and even though her company's value was overstated and then sold to Kendo, it's fascinating to see how these things are played. And this Kardashian brand is just that. Again, it's not just these personalities, but it's who they are, it's what they do, and yes, it's what they sell. When you think of a Kardashian, it is the quote-unquote perfect body. It's the thick and put together, basically the unattainable, because I'm sorry, you can't get that with just squats, which we'll talk about in a moment. It's the excessive luxury, it's the closet tours, it's the aspirational things that with the American dream we should look up to and worship, right? But it's also the screaming about lost diamond earrings and being out of touch in the middle of a pandemic because you rent out an island for your family to party on just to keep your other billionaire or millionaire friends safe from a pandemic that others are dying and suffering from. Now, while I do think that it's honorable that Kim Kardashian is pursuing a legal career and trying to help others who are less privileged, I also think it's important to note the conversations that lawyers have had behind the scenes and about how Kim's baby bar experience is very exclusive. It's not what most people go through, and it's kind of a shortcut or a way to test out of actually doing these things. But how does all of this play back into beauty? And how do the Kardashians allegedly lie about these surgeries and procedures that they're getting without letting the public on? The answer comes down to a few different theories, talking about media in the 2000s versus now, talking about expectations that we have as viewers of this, but also about the Kardashians being business moguls and wanting your hard-earned money, which is where we're going to start. Let's look at Kylie and her lip kit. Kylie Jenner didn't always have these lips, but somewhere around 2014, 2015, we started to see these photos of her when she and Kendall launched their clothing line. This clothing line was created, it was promoted on the show, and even the drama that was happening in the show allowed the clothing line to get a little bit more hype, more press, more talk, and therefore more sales. But the lip kits were really what did it in for Kylie. She claimed that she was just overlining her lips and that she wasn't getting fillers or injectables, which technically aren't a form of plastic surgery. Fun fact, they are cosmetic augmentations and cosmetic procedure. But I digress. Kylie claimed that she hadn't done anything to her lips, and people actually had the Kylie Jenner lip challenge. Remember, everyone was sucking on like bottles with their lips. They were getting split lips and fissures and going to the hospital. It was not a pretty sight. And it wasn't until that became a public nuisance that Kylie said, of course I had my lips done, duh, buy my lip kits. Now, that did two things. One, it did expose a lie that was quite obvious, but that people just seemed to know if you knew what lip fillers looked like, but people were just kind of saying, oh, she's gonna lie about it, okay. But on top of that, it was to sell this lip kit, it was to sell this item. And when the truth was unveiled by this lie actually being exposed, it actually rose those lip kits to even more fame and stardom. Similar to the controversy about those same Kylie lip kits being splotchy, about them being repackaged in overpriced ColourPop cosmetics and being made in the same laboratory or manufacturer, allegedly. These dramas and these hypes stirred up controversy, and it got them more attention and therefore more sales. And when Kylie did start releasing things like her other face makeups or for $400 brush kits, people started talking about it online and actually coming after the quality, which the Kardashians weren't happy about, but it did raise sales. And at the end of the day, it always came back to, this is what you need to buy to achieve this Kardashian look, this Kylie Jenner or Kim Kardashian glow. This is what you need to have this physique. Buy my Spanx, buy my KKW contouring kits, which yes, came next. Kim Kardashian probably saw the success of her younger sister Kylie Jenner, and Kim Kardashian started to come out with her own cosmetics. And yes, this included an eyeshadow palette that was kind of ripping off Pele, the goddess of volcanoes in Hawaii. Now, this came under scrutiny, and obviously it was taken down, but not before sales went up. And Kim Kardashian has been accused many times of cultural appropriation, whether it's, mimicking protected hairstyles, or literally trying to trademark the name kimono for her bodywear and shapewear line. Now, let's pivot to Kim Kardashian about that, because obviously you cannot take a traditional piece of Japanese clothing and try to trademark that under your own name. Kim Kardashian renamed this kimono concept to Spanx, which is her skincare, no, what is it? Skims, which is her skincare line, body line. God damn it, you know what I'm talking about. And this shapewear line is what's supposed to get you this amazing Kim Kardashian hourglass figure. This new figure that replaced the stick-thin models of the early 2000s and 1990s that people used to look up to, and that honestly was the body standard for me when I was growing up as a young kid in the 90s. However, if you've seen some of the marketing around this, yes, Kim Kardashian's Skims line is not only creating false ideals and expectations of what these actual lines and shapewear can do, but the actual advertising shows Kim Kardashian's finger warping. And the photographer, the editor, someone tried to claim that it was, just something along the lines of like, oh, it was just the angle of the camera. No, it wasn't. That was blatant editing software. But again, we see it, we kind of brush it off, and we just kind of chalk it down to, oh, this is what it is. And it comes down to money. The Kardashians are using their plastic surgery, their bodies, their influence to make this money and to plug this into lines while continuing to deny that it's happening. Khloe Kardashian obviously did go under the knife, but what did she do on TV? She created a TV show called Revenge Body that I personally did not watch and thought was extraordinarily toxic and unhealthy for women's bodies and self-esteem, but nonetheless, it was about getting revenge on someone who harmed you by crash dieting and having these unattainable beauty standards that Khloe herself, as the host, got not because of squats, but literally because of plastic surgery. And when it comes to that plastic surgery, again, don't take it from me, take it from the doctors and the plastic surgeons, take it from the people who've spoken about this. And yes, the doctors who have worked on or with the Kardashians who have admitted this behind the scenes, allegedly. If you want to point to a specific source, look at Lauryn Hill on YouTube. She as well has a source that talks about Kim Kardashian's darkening skin tone and why it's not the product of fake tanners like Kim wants us to believe it is. There are actually injections and medications that people can take, which again, allegedly doctors and prescribers behind the scenes have admitted to administering to the Kardashians in some of these derm, doctor, and plastic surgery circles. And for the sake of clarity and the avoidance of doubt, Kim Kardashian has denied getting these specific procedures and surgeries. But if you look at her body, especially how it's changed over time, this is not the result of genetics in my personal opinion, as well as many doctors and plastic surgeons' opinions. Kim has gone under an x-ray showing that she has no butt implants. Perhaps it's not a butt implant, but you know what doesn't show up on an x-ray? Brazilian butt lifts, liposuction. Liposuction with a cannula from the stomach that is put back into other areas of the body. The mommy tummy tuck that Kylie Jenner may have had when she gave birth to her child, where you literally have liposuction after you've given birth, and that goes into other areas of your body so that you can recover. And even the Kardashians, when you look at their production schedule, they have a hiatus every single year. And that hiatus, or that time off of TV and the big screens, is long enough for them to undergo these procedures, such as a rhinoplasty, without actually showing the bruising or the recovery process that we normally see when people do go under the knife. And the Kardashians do continue to deny this, even though when looking at their bodies, this is literally a brand. If you look at simply a shape, sometimes you can tell the logo. That is almost what the Kardashians have done with this body type. And arguably, we've spoken about this in other videos before, but this body type is the most unattainable because you can't get this from squats, from dieting or exercise, or even from genetics. This is only attainable with augmentation, plastic surgery, etc., which you have to have tons of money, time to recover, and privilege enough to actually be able to go under the knife and do. But this all comes down to money. The Kardashians, or any public figure having a body type or a look that is this unattainable, can therefore point to a product, a lip kit, a Skims line, whatever, and say this fitness lollipop is what allowed me to look this way. You should buy it too. And unfortunately, for people who don't know better, or even for people who do, it's hard not to resist and say, I'll try it out and see what happens. A $90 pair of undergarment sets, it's a lot more affordable than a $9,000 BBL procedure. But that gets into our next point. The Kardashians are almost expected to do this. We almost give them a pass. It's kind of like this boys will be boys mentality. You shouldn't be assaulting or harassing people, especially on the playground, right? But in the past, we're looking at, about the 50s or 60s especially, it was kind of this, oh, boys will be boys. That's what they're expected to do. The woman is expected to work at home in the household, and the boys, you know how they are. You better impress your man. And it's almost, as a society, this expectation that we have where we're not holding the bar high enough for others. And when it comes to the Kardashians, they've almost made that a reality. We look at Kylie Jenner, we understand that she's lying about her lip injections, but we just let her get away with selling these lip kits. We look at her skin, we know that it's a product of procedures, of microneedling, of extensive treatments, as well as either fillers or implants or lifts or tucks, and yet we sit here and we buy her skincare line. We look at Kim Kardashian's body, even with the x-rays, but we know that it's not squats and Skims. We know, allegedly, that this is a product of augmentation, of medications, and of privilege that most of us can never even dream of affording. Yet we sit here and we just say, oh, well, that's the Kardashians. We look at Khloe, we see her photoshopped bikini picture next to her unphotoshopped one, and we don't understand what the fuss is. Why did they try to scrub this photo of the internet just because it wasn't photoshopped? Personally speaking, her unphotoshopped photo looks better than me on one of my best days. And again, whatever that means in this toxic culture where we think it's okay to compare our bodies to someone else's. It's almost become this unspoken societal narrative that, especially with the Kardashians, it's a part of their brand and we expect it from them. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say I'm even seeing this appear in other places. If we look at someone like Trish, we know that they have had lots of controversies in the past, and we know that it keeps happening. Trish changes their gender identities, changes their sexual orientations, diagnoses themselves with mental disorders, which again, a psychologist or therapist should be doing. And those things I personally believe are on a spectrum, and I understand that people's experiences or brain chemistry can change how you feel about those things. But we see Trish causing these problems over and over, launching products or lines that are scammy or weird over and over. And in this most recent debacle, when Trish launches a skincare line and it's mixed improperly and it looks like the ingredients are being lied about on the label and that's not actually what's in the bottle, and we just kind of shrug it off and we're like, okay, well, it's just Trish. Like, the bar is so low that that's just Trish. And again, this is just kind of my observation and where I'm at with this right now. I don't know Trish personally. I have not looked into Trish nearly as much as I probably should, but from the outside, it seems like we're taking exactly this phenomenon that's happening with the Kardashians and we're extrapolating that to some of these other personalities in media. Look at Tana Mojo or Mojo Jojo, Tana Mongoose. Look at this person and we see her story times and they're erratic, and then she gets caught out for lying and for fake marriages. And by the time the fake brush kits come out and the drop shipped items, we just kind of shrug it off as, oh, it's Tana. Oh, it's like that TanaCon thing all over again. And the bar is just so low that that's what we come to expect. And I think that this is very dangerous behavior for the Kardashians as celebrities, for Tana Mongoose and Trisha Paytas and all of these people in social media. And I think that there are probably people in the actress or actor or celebrity world that I'm not aware of because literally all I watch is YouTube. This is also happening in the music industry, etc., that I'm just not seeing. But it's almost this next generation of boys will be boys. And it's just like level 2 of, oh, social media Instagram celebrities, they're just gonna be influencers. And it almost makes it okay. And I think that that's a very toxic mentality, as we've seen with the boys will be boys or even the girls will be girls mentality. And I personally think it needs to stop. But the biggest way we can prevent that from taking over our lives and our psyche is by being aware of it and saying, okay, if this weren't Trish or Tana Mojo person or a Kardashian Jenner, would this be okay? Would this be okay for someone in my own life, someone in the professional world, a friend, a family member? Would this be okay for them to do? And if the answer is no, then why are we still tolerating it from these people? Which brings us into our next point about expectations and even perfectionism. And I understand that nobody is perfect. It is literally human to make mistakes and to have errors and to mess up. If you have not messed up and if you have not f***ed up majorly, you are not a human. But I don't think it's those f***ups that define us. I think it's how we react and we respond and we learn from them. Kylie Jenner lied about her lip fillers, but did she learn from them? And did she implement something more positive out of them? I don't know. But there are other celebrities or people who have lied about their bodies to sell products and things and actually owned up to it or spoken about it. There was that model that was selling products on her Instagram and she was struggling with her mental health, and she ended up changing all of her pictures' captions to talking about what was actually happening behind the scenes. The 174 photos she had to take to get that good one. How she yelled at her sister for not getting the right angle when her sister was helping her take the photo. And she ended up like leaving social media. And again, I think it is human to make mistakes or be persuaded by these things, but how we deal with that and how we overcome those struggles and learn and grow from them is more indicative to who we are as resilient human beings capable of tenacity, rather than just repeating these things over and over again for the sake of a buck. Now, I came across an article talking about the Kardashians and their plastic surgeries that quoted someone on Reddit, and I couldn't find the original post, but basically it was this theory about what we expected from celebrities in the early 2000s versus now. Because you see, before social media took off, the perfect celebrity was the ideal. We would look at celebrities and they had to have flawless skin and a perfect body, and you never saw them without it. That's why Britney Spears and her meltdown was such a shocker, because we don't normally see those things in celebrities. But social media, you know, Instagram in 2010, 2012, that started to change things, and women, men, and non-binary friends were being praised for their authenticity and for their real bodies. But the Kardashians, their come up was in the early 2000s, right? Even their mom, Kris Jenner, who really runs this entire thing and is, you know, kind of the mastermind behind this, she has a mentality that comes from that era. And this poster brought up the theory that, okay, back then you just lied about it and you hoped you didn't get caught. And now that more authenticity is coming to the forefront, it's still really hard to embrace. You know, we're still seeing TikTok filters and it's hard to love, you know, our authentic skin, but we're trying. But it's a little bit more expected and much more appreciated now. But if the Kardashians came out and exposed all of the treatments and procedures they've had, they would have to admit that they lied about everything. And then what would that do to their brand? Would it ruin this facade of who they are? Would it ruin and like take the veil off of their exclusivity and how they're able to do this? And if they just continue lying about it, what does it do? Oh, it still stirs the drama. It still stirs the conversation. It provokes videos like these, which yes, are indirectly boosting the Kardashians' clout. Literally. And it's because people are curious, but because they're staying silent about it or denying instead of confirming, those rumors keep swirling. And at the end of the day, there is a saying in the PR world that any press is good press. Even negative press gets people talking about you, and it gets people buying your products. And in a world where money talks, it's a strategy that sickeningly starts to work. We can even have a conversation about social media algorithms and how algorithms are literally built on virality and watch time. How many people click on a YouTube video like this or a post, and how long people watch that through and how many times they share are literally some of the main components that YouTube and TikTok and these social media platforms are built upon. And it doesn't matter if the content is true or false, if it's uplifting or damaging. If people are talking about it, engaging with it, and sharing it, and these algorithms reward that because it keeps users on this big platform, which allows them to be served more ads that play in front of videos, which earns that big tech company more money. It is literally goes so deep, and I barely know the basics. But what you need to know is that the Kardashians' bodies are a brand, and what they're doing in denying their plastic surgery is literally helping to hype up these algorithms, making them more famous and more successful. And the reason that they continue to get away with lying about their plastic surgery is because it is making them money, and it's making other people around them money. It's making us obsess, it's making us curious, and it's making us aware, so that whether or not we like them, we're still talking and they are still benefiting. And as long as that direct financial tie and that money stream is there, I think it's going to continue. You know, human behavioral psychology, we want to do things that are pleasurable to us as humans, and we want to avoid things that we perceive as being painful or damaging or unpleasant. And if the Kardashians have this goal of attention or fame or money, positive or negative, that is what is going to fuel this, and it's going to continue happening. Do you think there's another reason that the Kardashians continue to lie about their plastic surgery? Or do you think they're telling the truth that they've had nothing done? Make sure that you stay hydrated, reapply your SPF, like and subscribe if you appreciate this content, but even more importantly, share this with someone who is comparing their bodies to the Kardashians if you want to help out the algorithm here, or leave a comment with another theory that you think might be happening. Always remember to be beautiful both inside and out, and I cannot wait to see you in this next video. Love you guys. Bye.